Welcome. My name is Michelle Scott, and I'm here for More Counseling and Mediation Services, and I'm here to cover professionalism. We're going to give you an overview of professionalism and etiquette, both with your clients and your coworkers. First of all, I would like you to start thinking about professionalism because it's such a large topic and there's so many pieces and parts under that umbrella. It's going to be hard to narrow it down, but we're going to try to do it more towards the workplace. So think about who you find professional. Who in your life do you view as possesses those professional qualities? Is it your manager, your vice president, a friend, a coworker? Think about what they do that makes you admire them. They don't have to be all conservative, button up with a real serious disposition. They can be someone as natural as yourself, and that makes them professional. Being courteous, being respectful to others, also being competent and knowledgeable in what they're speaking about, and being able to make good decisions in really tough times. They are able to look through and make sure that they think through the conversation and know what decision to make at that time. And it's about taking care of others and yourself. So in professionalism, there's many different aspects. So we've got always striving for excellence. This is a rule of thumb that whatever you're attempting, that you should follow. This is a quality that makes you and the work that you do stand out to others. Being trustworthy. Trustworthiness is about fulfilling your own responsibilities and meeting the expectations of yourself and others. This is being dependable and reliable, and all this starts to happen over time. Being accountable and taking ownership for all your actions and your words. Your words make an impact whether they're positive or they're negative. You have to make sure that you understand that, because what you say will stick with individuals, whether it's you're saying something that is not the greatest news or if it's really a great praise. Making sure that your words match your behavior. Again, you can be talking the talk, but you need to walk the walk. Balancing your work life with what you do is important, because if you're stressed out at home and you're not, or stressed out at work and you don't have that balance, it starts to show in your demeanor, it starts to show in your facial expressions, the way you speak to individuals. It's going to come across that you're stressed out and that you're really not being true. Being courteous and respectful, it goes a long way. Being polite and respectful and gracious towards others, it makes your social interaction at work much easier. It avoids conflict, it makes individuals respect you right away, and it makes it go a lot quicker of a day if you're respectful and you don't have so much tension in the air. It really makes being genuine, people can spot that. They know it right away if you're not being genuine as you're speaking to them. Consider their feelings. Your message, it may be a hard message to deliver, but you have to understand that they're not taking it as well as you're able to deliver it. And sometimes it's hard to deliver the message also, but make sure that you're aware of their feelings. And know when to use humor. That's really important, to know your audience. You may feel comfortable having a little bit of a smile, a little bit of a joke in between a delivery, but there's individuals that do not want that. They want the message, and they want the message straightforward. Always be honest and transparent. It builds trust. So if people think that you're being genuine, that's going to build trust with them. Be competent and improve continually. Competence is ability to do the job properly. And so if you know your job and you're able to communicate everything that you know, that's the competence there. Your performance is a combination of knowledge, skills, and your behavior. We grow through competency with experience and your continuous self-development. You got to know when to use the right words. You have to form complete sentences. And the biggest thing that you're finding these days, just with the different generations, is using slang words. So you need to avoid the slang, because not everyone knows the definition of those slangs. And always be ethical. Ethical behavior is acting within the moral codes in accordance with what your codes of conduct and rules are. It also combines your own inner rules and the rules of your organization. Many companies will have code of conduct. They'll have values that they want you to represent, and you need to make sure that you're following those if you want to be respected in any type of leadership role. Always be honorable and act with integrity. Consistency in behavior, regardless whether you have a room full of people or just one person sitting next to you. This is something that you have to be continuous with, because it doesn't matter who's watching. If it falls through, then unfortunately you can lose respect that way. And respect confidentiality. Face it, you can be working for an organization for a day, a year, 10 years, or 20 years. You have to know what you can say and what you can't say to others. If you're not sure of what has been delivered to you, and if it can be expressed to other individuals or told to others, make sure you ask, because confidentiality goes a long way. So we've covered definitions of professionalism. And basically, etiquette is the same as professionalism. Etiquette's a fancy word for courtesy, considerate, politeness, and professionalism. So before we go any further, I just want to say one thing. Everyone makes mistakes. And hopefully you learn by those mistakes. There's a level of professionalism, and it depends on who you're with, but always be yourself and make sure there's always that invisible line and that you follow that. Because that line is going to shift. It's going to move, and it's going to be blurry at times, and you're really going to have to follow what you know to make sure that you stay professional. For an example, there's going to be times that possibly you're friends with someone that you work with. You go out with them, you're Facebook friends, you always text, you laugh, you have a social life together, but then you come into the workplace and you may say something that's an unfiltered joke. You tell them, you think it's going to be funny, you tell them exactly what you think. Maybe you give them advice that was not solicited, and they take it offensively. Now here you've crossed over that line. Now, is that your fault? Because you are friends with them. But work is work, business is business, and you have to remember that's a line that you can't cross. So remember, again, nobody's perfect, and the basic part of that is that you need to make sure that if you do something that you feel that might have been inappropriate, that made someone angry, then what you need to do is own it. You need to own it and make sure that you acknowledge to them that you've made that error, and make sure that you apologize if necessary, and then also you move on and be mindful going forward. So now we're going to talk a little bit about professionalism and etiquette and what it looks like and sounds like at work. Our focus is not going to be as much as what fork to use, but it's going to be more in what seat to sit at the table in a client meeting, but it's going to be more about a typical workplace situations. It's going to be tough sometimes, and keep in mind that there's different generations, and the generations view professionalism sometimes in a different way. They're looking at professionalism, they're not recognizing pieces and parts of it that old school folks would believe that are rude and unprofessional. So what are the reasons why you want to be professional? Well, your relationships can blossom. You tend to engage with individuals that you normally wouldn't be engaging with. Also, your reputation and credibility is going to be a lot stronger. They're going to look at you as someone to go to, someone to trust, a trusted advisor, where they're going to ask you questions that out of the norm, they're not normally going to come to you and ask you. They're going to look at you as being someone they want involved in meetings, in campaigns, in groups, just because you have exposed yourself as someone that is professional and is trustworthy and is respected. And you can get the job that you want. This is important because, you know what, act as if you have the job, not that you want the job. Professionalism is measured by different aspects, and that goes with competence. Your competence is your knowledge, it's your expertise. Know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, that's a time to be silent and listen. Your image, dress appropriately. Read your dress code. Make sure that you understand what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Again, dress for the part that you want, not the part that you have. I know there's times that you have a lazy day and you want to just throw on anything. Think before you dress, because people are going to notice that you're not put together. It's only going to take a couple more minutes. Your demeanor, your attitude, are you positive? Do you welcome individuals in conversation? This will go a long way for you. Some people don't want to welcome you as an individual. They want to talk to you every day, but say hello anyway. Challenge yourself. Make sure that you're that bright person in the office. You don't have to be overly laying on thick, but definitely it's something that goes a long way. The smile, you keep an open mind, and also you're, again, matching your words with your behavior. Walk the walk. And your communication, your listening skills. They say that you should listen 80% and talk 20%. For someone like myself, that's very difficult, but I'm learning, and I'm very aware of it as I'm in conversation with individuals. So if you practice it, it becomes much easier. And also your smile, a firm handshake, eye contact, that goes a long way. First impressions are everything. It may be even your facial expressions when you're talking to someone, making sure that your gestures, you're not rolling your eyes back in your head. That was brought to my attention very early in my career, that if I don't like something, I roll my eyes back in my head. So now I'm very conscious of it. It's something that I really work on, making sure that if I'm not in agreement with someone, that I'm making sure that I'm keeping straight eye contact with them and there's no rolling. So where do you start with this? Well, you start with self-respect. Self-respect means that you're aware of yourself and you desire to uphold the standards and your accountability that you set for yourself and your manager or your vice president or your president has set for you also. You do things because you know they're right to do. You care about the words and the actions of others. You're conscious of their feelings and you're aware that this might, whatever delivery that you're giving them, that it might affect their livelihood. Personal accountability. You know your boundaries and your limits, and you control your impulses outside of those boundaries. Even no matter how much it feels good to go outside those boundaries, you limit yourself within your workplace, because you have to know that there's those fine lines, and if you cross them, it could lead to consequences. And respecting others. You take care of not only yourself, but you're taking care of others. It doesn't matter if you agree with the individual on what they're saying, but you're listening and you're understanding that that is their position and you care about their position. You respect others knowing that if you can disagree with them, but where they're coming from is that's their reality. So you understand that. It also means staying in your own lane. You need to stay in your own lane because there's some scenarios that you just don't want to get a part of. You don't want to be a part of a scenario that's outside of your scope of work. For individuals that it is there, then know how to approach that. But try to stay in your lane. And stay out of participating in gossip and conversations that's not productive and could be potentially hurtful. Think before you speak. Would I say to this comment to the person? Would I say it right to their face? If you wouldn't say it, don't engage in that conversation. So there's all kinds of pieces and parts that are professionalism, and some might be trivial pieces, but here's some fun facts. The most complaints in an office are about smells and about noises. So consider this. Are you talking on your phone too loud? Are you talking in the hall by yourself, but you're on your phone and you're speaking in conversation too loud? Everyone can hear it. They can't hear the other side because they can't even enjoy the conversation. So make sure you're mindful of that. Do you have a favorite lotion that you keep on your desk that you think smells wonderful, that you just got for Christmas, and you put it on every morning when you come in? It may be so strong that the person sitting next to you or everyone who approaches you has a different reaction. There's individuals that are allergic to different fragrances. Some companies put together a no fragrance policy. So on that note, let's talk about cologne. Do you want to be someone to smell you from the time that you enter in the room to when you leave, and then have it existing for the next 15 minutes? No. Be mindful of how much cologne you put on also. These are trivial pieces, but it really goes a long way. Also, heating up casserole and fish in the kitchen. That can stay forever. So pick and choose your lunches wisely. I know these are small things, but it would be someone that will attach your name to that smell. They'll say, remember Joe? Oh, the one that always makes fish in the afternoon. And then also with burnt popcorn. I've had no popcorn rule and no fish rule at work. So again, if you don't have those, there's a time and place to eat those things, and don't trust a microwave. So now let's go to your actions and behaviors and the message that might be coming across with these actions and behaviors. So you come to work and you have a stain on your shirt or a ripped pair of pants. What do you think that message says? That message says that you don't care, you don't respect yourself, and you don't respect your company. There's clients that come in, even your coworkers, if they see that, they're going to think that you don't respect yourself. Receiving personal calls and emails at work, the message is that you are more concentrating on your personal life and your social life as opposed to the work that needs to be done and your company's profitability. So if you're spending time doing that, they're going to think you're being selfish. When you enter in someone's cube without being announced because you have something to say to them and you think it's really important, well, that's what it's saying. It's saying that you believe your message is more important than the message or the work that they're doing. So even if you can just tap on the side of the cubicle, or you can say, excuse me, make sure that you announce yourself. When you have a meeting that you've prepared and you've sent out the invitations and you're sitting there, you're waiting, and only 4 people out of the 6 are there, and it's 1 minute after the meeting should start, and you started anyway, what does that message say? Well, that's twofold. The message says that those people should be on time, number one. But the other message says that you don't care, that you're not giving them that little grace. You should give them always a grace period, but you're caring more about your time as opposed to everyone else's and the message that you're going to be delivering in that meeting. How about when you're on a conference call in your office or a cubicle and you're on speakerphone and you have the door open? That message says that it's all about you and that you want to really hear that conversation and you don't care what anyone else thinks. But think about it. If everyone else was supposed to hear that conference call, they would have been invited. So close the door and make sure that if you're going to be on speakerphone, that you are in an isolated area. Again, with participating in group gossip, that is showing disrespect for everybody. If you can't say it to their face, you shouldn't be participating in that gossip. If you're talking amongst a manager or your owner or your president and you're talking about an individual, always say things that you're going to go back and communicate to them directly. Be mindful of that. Interrupting and talking over others is clearly saying that your message is more important than theirs. So sit back, listen, 80-20 rule. Listen 80, speak 20. Listen to their message, and then afterwards, communicate what you think is needed in that conversation. And then coming in late and leaving work early, that again is very selfish, and you're not thinking of others. People know your schedule. They know you're there 8 to 5, and someone might be looking for you at 8:03 and you're still not there. That's taking up their time, and it's also reflecting that you don't care about the company and their payroll. So we're going to talk again about cell phones, because cell phones are just what it is now. Everyone has one, whether you're 20 years old coming out of school or whether you're 65 years old, everyone carries a cell phone with them. So you need to be mindful of the cell phone. Many of managers and individuals will carry their cell phone with them as they're going to meetings, as they're walking through the halls, but you have to make sure that it's on silent or vibrate while you're at work. No one wants to hear a phone ringing in the middle of a tough conversation or just a group discussion. Don't take calls and texts during a meeting. This is really important. I know that everyone at one point has sat around a conference table and they've looked over and one of your coworkers is looking down, texting as they're talking, and you know that everyone in the room is the important individuals, so you know that this isn't work related, that this must be personal. While you're having a meal, do not sit and text someone. Carry on the conversation. Keep your cell phone in your pocket, your purse. It doesn't need to be out. Unless you're expecting an important call, then tell them, address that right away. Say, I'm expecting a call, I'm gonna keep this on the table. Believe me, I've been scolded for it many times and I'm more mindful of it now. Don't walk and text. Not only is it very dangerous, but you're gonna be walking into individuals. Stop, take a look around and go into an office, go into a corner. Again, don't talk on the phone during meetings. If you have to take a phone call, if it rings, take it outside. Whether it's if it rings and you have to take it as personal or work related, take it out of the meeting. And always, always be aware of the ringtone that you have on your phone. You may think it's hilarious when Joe calls and a certain ringtone comes on, but it might not be work appropriate. So make sure that you have that tone, again, on silence or on a volume that only you can hear, and you can chuckle about it afterwards. Always carry yourself with your personal brand and your company brand in mind. Know that how you're speaking, how you're talking, how you're walking is a reflection on you, and you're teaching people about yourself. This is professionally how you're branding yourself. It's your language. Slipping up and saying swear words. You want to eliminate any kind of swear words in the workplace whatsoever. Even if you're talking amongst your so-called friends or your coworkers, you want to eliminate that. Social media, watch what you post. I know that everyone says it now, but be more mindful of what you're posting and what you're sharing, because individuals in the workplace have ways to find that. And as they say, nothing disappears on the web. So make sure that you're mindful of your social media interaction. And whether you're friends with people, your coworkers or your boss, however, it could really put you in a bind if you go outside of those boundaries. Also, if you tend to go out with people from work, clients, customers, make sure your social interaction reflects your personal branding, where you're not going out and maybe there's cocktails involved. Limit yourself. Know your limits. Know where your professional boundaries lie. So we're going to go into kind of more of a heated conversation or a discussion with another coworker or a client or a customer. And when the temperatures are hot, we're going to talk about when something goes wrong and your client or customer or coworker, they're very upset, and how you handle this. So first of all, the recommendation is to ask questions. Ask, why are you upset? What is it that upset you about this previous conversation or this individual? Even if it's outside of just the two of you, if this is about another coworker or a client or a customer. Listen to what they have to say. Make mental note about this. Make sure that you understand what they're speaking about. And then stay calm. So you're going to stay calm, and you're going to have to make sure that they stay calm at the same time. So when you stay calm, recognize the pieces and the signs that when you're losing control and you're losing your cool. Maybe your palms sweat. Maybe you start to get a tick. Maybe you tend to bite your tongue. Recognize those pieces, and then know going forward that that's when you have to start taking action. Whether it's practicing deep breathing, whether you need to go get a glass of water, just to break up some time so you can start thinking rationally. You want to start using positive self-talk. You can do this. You got this. You can control the situation. This is all inside voice, of course. And then look for a calming object maybe in the room that you're talking about. Maybe it's a picture on the wall. Maybe it's a plant. But look for an object that you can revert back to as you're having this conversation so you're not getting upset. There's so many pieces that you can look at, whether it's that glass of water, you can't wait to take another sip of it. And buy time if necessary. And again, that's walking over and getting a glass of water. Excuse me for a minute, I just have to use the restroom. It's buying time so you can cool yourself down. But in the same sense, you also want to cool the individual down with that. So you want to let them vent. You want to get all the emotions out in the beginning so you can both start thinking rationally. You're going to try to avoid all the trigger words, things that are making them upset. Don't use negative words during your conversation. And empathize with them. Make sure that you understand it and they know that that you understand their feelings. You don't have to agree with them, but you understand their feelings. And then start to move to the problem solving. Start talking about, hey, let's start thinking about this. Let's start putting together some ideas on solving these problems. And as you're solving them, make sure that you agree with the situation, that you both know exactly the situation that you're trying to conquer. Prioritize if there's several pieces of that situation that need to be addressed. So make sure that you say, okay, I understand you're upset about A, B, and C. Which is most important to you? Because let's tackle that one first. And then determine what solution that you're going to go forward with. Try to involve the individual with that, saying, well, what would you recommend as a solution? And then start brainstorming from there. If you can have two options, that'd be best, because then you can say, if A doesn't work, then let's go with plan B. And avoid involving other individuals. There's going to be times that it's going to be out of your realm or out of your scope of work that you're going to need to involve another person. But if you can tackle this on your own, try to do so behind closed doors. If you need to put a manager or if you need to put someone else involved in this, then do so. But if you can tackle it on your own, do that. And follow up. Follow up is most important, because if you leave and there's any doors open, you're going to want to make sure that you follow up with them, or as you're leaving saying, here's the timeline I'm thinking. I'm going to have to research this a little bit, or I'm going to have a meeting with Joe, and then I'll come back to you and I'll have an answer or more of a discussion with you by Friday at 9 a.m. That's really important, because you have to keep that person informed and have them know that you care and that you really are going to move forward with making this problem go away. So you're going to have some conversation with them where I hope we solve this issue to your satisfaction. I believe it's necessary that all these details are taken care of, and then ask them if there's anything else that you need to consider. So last, I just want to say that nobody is perfect and we all make mistakes again. I need to reiterate that, because that is definitely a disclaimer. We're growing by some of our mistakes in life. We really need to make sure that this mistake, we can see it as our own personal accountability, and that we're forgiving ourselves and we're doing our best in moving forward, and we're learning as we go. Practicing self-awareness, it's definitely something that we need to make sure that we do constantly. It's making sure that we understand how we communicate with individuals, what our actions are when we're upset, and that we can go forward and eliminate some of those if we feel that they're distracting to others as you're having conversations. Make sure your communication is effective, both, again, verbal and nonverbal. And then ask for support, ask for help. Make sure that you're soliciting feedback. If you're saying something or doing something, or you have a plan, if you have someone to talk to, make sure you ask them, what do you think? Do you have any other suggestions for me? Should I move forward with this? And then also make sure that you find a mentor or a manager that you can confide in. I don't care if you're walking out of school, you're 20 years old, or if you're in a position like myself in the mid of their career. Always look for a mentor. Look for someone that you can go to and that you can bounce ideas off of. Someone who can put you in the right direction if you're veering off and you're swaying from the direction that you need to be going. And maintain balance. That sums it up right there. Make sure that if you're working hard, you're playing hard just as well. but make sure that that doesn't cross over, because it's not pretty. And don't take things personally. This is something that you'll learn over time. You're going to have discussions. People are going to be angry. They're going to vent things that they don't want to vent, but they're not thinking before they're speaking, and you happen to be the person across the table. Make sure you're not taking it personally. They'll tell you if you should take it personally later on, but during the conversation, know that the anger and the frustration or them being upset is going to take precedence over what there's being filtered out of their mouth. And always create your boundaries and stay within your boundaries. They may be blurry sometimes, they may shift, but know your boundaries and know what's acceptable in the workplace. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.